They put me in a bed on the third floor of the hospital, a gown, a plastic band on my wrist, a blood pressure cuff that squeezed my arm every hour through the night. For 3 nights, I slept in that bed, and the whole time I was sure of one thing. I had been admitted to that hospital. I had not. There was a word written on a clipboard at the foot of my bed, a word nobody ever stopped to explain to me, and that one word almost cost me $12,000. I am 72 years old, and I am no doctor. I want to say that right at the front. But I have learned that you do not need to be a doctor to keep $12,000 in your own pocket. You need to know one question to ask. That is the whole of what I came to give you today, not a scare, a question. If you are new to this porch, my name is Frank. I taught shop to teenagers for a good many years, measured twice, cut once, and then carried the mail in this town for the better part of 20, so I have left an envelope on most every porch you can see from mine. I raised 3 children in the house I'm sitting in right now. I lost my wife Margaret 4 years ago, and when she went, I found out how many quiet things she had always handled that I never had to think about. So I am no expert. I am a man who got a scare he did not see coming, did his homework after, and would rather you not learn this the way I did. 3 nights deep with a band on your wrist and the meter running. I will give you that word early, free and clear. No making you wait for it. Then I will show you how it turns into a $12,000 bill. And 3 more times I learned to open my mouth and ask in that same building when every part of me wanted to stay quiet. Stay with me to the end. The last one is the thing almost nobody knows they are allowed to do. On the second morning I saw the word myself, written on the clipboard hooked to the foot of the bed. I did not think a thing of it. It meant nothing to me then. It meant everything by the time the bill came. So let me hand it to you now with the trap spelled out. We all believe that if you are in the hospital, you are in the hospital. In a bed, in a gown, a nurse coming around every few hours, so of course you have been admitted. That is what it means to be in the hospital, is it not? It is not. You can spend 3 nights in that bed, getting the tests, getting the care, getting everything a patient gets, and still, on their paperwork, never once be admitted. You are not a patient who was admitted. You are a patient they are watching. They have a word for that, and there it was on my clipboard. The word is observation. So here is the question. Say it out loud now, so it is in your head before you ever need it. The next time they put you, or somebody you love, into a hospital bed, you ask, kindly, plainly, this: am I admitted as an inpatient tonight, or am I here under observation? That is the whole of it. You are not being difficult. You are not playing doctor. You are asking a plain question you have every right to ask, and the answer changes everything that comes after. If they tell you observation, you ask the next part. What will that mean for what Medicare pays? And if the room goes quiet on you, you ask for the one person whose whole job is to answer it, the patient advocate. Every hospital has one. Most folks our age go their whole lives never knowing to ask. That is the free part. It works whether or not you ever watch another minute of me. And let me be plain about my lane here because it matters. I am not telling you one thing about your medicine or your treatment or your care. That is between you and your doctor, and I am no doctor. I never will be. I am telling you about the paper they wrap around the treatment, the billing, the status, the words. That part is not medicine, and that part you're allowed to ask about out loud in plain English. Now let me show you why those few words are worth so much money. Here is how one word becomes a bill that size. When you are truly admitted as an inpatient, Medicare Part A, the part you paid into your whole working life, covers your hospital stay. But here is the piece nobody leans over to tell you. If you should need a little time in a nursing home or a rehabilitation place afterward to get your strength back, to learn to walk on the new hip, Medicare will only help pay for it if you first spent 3 nights in the hospital as an admitted inpatient. 3 nights admitted. That is the rule under the original Medicare most of us carry. Now go back to my bed on the 3rd floor. Here's the part that turns your stomach. I had the 3 nights. The count was never my problem. I slept there 3 full nights, same as any admitted patient down the hall. The trap was the word. On their paper, I was under observation the whole time. An outpatient, they call it, though I never once stood up and walked out. So, when they sent me on to skilled rehab, and I assumed Medicare had it the way I had always assumed Medicare had everything, it did not. Not $1. My 3 nights did not count, not because there were too few of them, but because that one word said outpatient. And the bill for that rehab, the one I was sure was already paid, came to $12,000. Now, hold on to that number, because before we are done, I will tell you what I actually ended up paying, and it is not the number you would guess. $12,000 was the invoice that hit my table. And the strangest part, the part that still gets me, is that the word that did it was sitting on a form in my own hands the whole time. And here is the part that ought to make you sit up. There is a notice, a real one, required by law. The hospital is supposed to hand you when they keep you under observation more than a day. It has a name: the Medicare Outpatient Observation Notice, a plain piece of paper that says, more or less, you are not admitted. And here is what that could cost you. And I will be honest with you, I most likely got handed that very paper somewhere in the stack you sign when you are tired and frightened and just want to lie down. I did not read it. Nobody sat down and explained it to me. So the hospital did its part on paper, and I still walked straight into a $12,000 surprise, because a notice you do not understand is no notice at all. That is the whole point. The paper is the back door, and it failed me. The question is the front door, and it would have saved me. So do not wait on the paper. Ask the question. And you might ask what I asked once that bill was in my hand. If one word costs people this kind of money, why does nobody at the front desk lean over and make sure you understand it? It is not a conspiracy. It is arithmetic. Nobody in that building earns a thing by making certain you ask whether you have been admitted. The day runs smoother when you sign the stack and lie down. There is no commission on a senior who asks a good question. The only soul who comes out ahead when you ask is you, which is why you have to be the one to ask. Nobody will ask it for you. So here is how you carry this into a real night, because a question is only worth something if you can find it when your heart is pounding. If it is you in that bed, you ask the nurse, or better, the case manager, or the patient advocate, the folks whose job is to know your status. If it is your husband, your wife, your mother, and they cannot ask for themselves, then you ask, standing beside them. You write the answer down, the date and the word they gave you, admitted or observation. And if you cannot get a straight answer out of anyone, there is a number you can call right from the chair in the room, 1-800-MEDICARE, 800-633-4227. They will tell you what your status means for what you owe. None of it asks you to be a doctor. It asks you to open your mouth in a room where everybody our age was raised to be polite and grateful and quiet. I was raised that way too, and it cost me dearly. Now that scare taught me something bigger than one word. It taught me that in that whole building, asking is the only thing that is free, and the one thing they do not expect from a man my age. So when the bills started to come, I did a thing I had never once done in 72 years. I asked for all of it, the itemized bill, every single line, not the one-page summary that names the fortune you owe, the long version, every charge spelled out. You only have to ask the billing office for it. And when it came, 11 pages of it, I sat down with my reading glasses and a cup of coffee and went down it, line by line. I did not need to understand the half of it. I only needed to find what was plainly wrong. A hospital room they charged me for on a day I was already down the road in rehab. The same test, run once, charged twice. I circled them, called, and asked them to explain each one like I was a neighbor and not an accountant. Some of it came right off the bill, just for asking, just for reading the page most people are too tired or too trusting to read. And here is the last one. But listen close, because this one only fits a certain spot. This is for when they do admit you, a true inpatient, not observation the way I was. And then, before you are steady on your feet, they tell you it is time to go home. You are not ready. The help at home is not lined up. Most folks hear time to go, and they go, because who argues with a hospital? You do not have to. When a hospital admits you, they hand you a paper called an important message from Medicare, and on it is a phone number. That number reaches an outside office, an independent reviewer that Medicare pays to check the hospital's decision, not the hospital checking its own homework. They call it a QIO. You call that number before the day they mean to send you out, and you ask for a fast appeal. While they are taking their look, you can usually stay, and you are not on the hook for those review days beyond your normal share. If in the end they side with the hospital and you stay on past that, the days after are yours. But the appeal has bought you an honest second opinion and the time to get your feet under you. That is a real right built for you, and almost nobody uses it. Now, if you were the observation case like me, this particular door is not yours, your paper was that moon, and your move is still the one question we started with. But admit it or not, the instinct underneath is the same. You ask. I brought this up at the diner, and I will give you the myth too, because the myth is the very thing that keeps good people quiet. The fellows at my table were dead sure none of this could ever happen to them. Frank, they said, you are on Medicare. You paid in 40 years. The hospital takes care of all of it. That is what it is for. And I understand the belief. We were raised to think that if you did your part, worked, paid in, played it straight, the system would do its part, and you would never have to stand there asking suspicious questions. But believing that blind is the exact thing that cost me. Medicare is a real promise. It is also a set of rules, and the rules have words in them, like observation, that do not mean what a plain man thinks they mean. The men I know who do their 70s well are not the ones who trust the most or the least. They are the ones who ask, think for a minute, what the quiet version costs. You are in that bed 3 nights. You never think to ask. You go off to rehab grateful, and the bill finds you a month later, home, thinking the hard part was behind you. $12,000, the full freight, in the version where you never ask the question and never fight the bill, on a fixed income, for a man or a woman who did everything right their whole life. That is a roof. That is years of the little cushion you set aside, gone. And the cruel part is how close you stood to skipping the whole thing. One question, asked on the first night, by a bed on the 3rd floor. That is the entire distance between the two endings. Not money, not a lawyer. A question asked in time. Now you are owed the end of my own story. I never did get Medicare to pay that $12,000. I will be straight with you. That rule does not bend. And any fellow who says he sweet-talked Medicare into bending it is selling you something. But once Medicare was out, the bill was no longer Medicare's. It was the Rehabilitation Places bill. And a bill like that has more give in it than they will ever let on. So I took that same itemized bill back to their billing office, and I asked the question we are all too proud to ask. What can you do for a man on a fixed income? I asked about financial hardship help. I asked about charity care. I asked for the plain cash price, the one they give folks with no insurance. It took the better part of a year, but between a hardship discount and a payment plan I could carry, that $12,000 bill came down to a little under $3,000. I will give you the honest number because that is the whole of my promise to you. The invoice said $12,000, and what I actually paid after all that asking was a little under $3,000. The difference was not luck, and it was not Medicare blinking. It was asking the people who could say yes. Nobody is paying me to tell you any of this. No hospital, no insurance company, no program. I just cannot stand the thought of one more person our age signing a stack of papers, lying down, being polite, and waking up to a bill that one small question would have stopped cold. This whole video, when you get down to it, was one question. And that is the very thing Margaret told me, long before any of this. She had a rule, 3 words, on a card in her receipt box. Ask them first. I made a proper card of my own out of it. The 5 phone calls that have put real money back in this house, the exact words to say so you are not making them up with your heart pounding the way I did. It is free. The link is below, and I only ask for somewhere to send it. That card is about the bills at your kitchen table. But the rule underneath it is the same one that just saved me in a hospital bed. Ask them first. So, the whole of it, in one breath. If they ever put you in a hospital bed, you ask the one question before anything else. Am I admitted, or am I under observation? You write the answer down. If it is observation, you ask what it means for what Medicare pays, and you ask to see the patient advocate. When the bills come, you ask for the itemized bill, the long one. You read it line by line, and you ask the billing office plainly what they can do for a person on a fixed income. And if they admit you and then try to send you home before you are steady, you are allowed to say so and to appeal it. 4 moments. One single instinct underneath every one of them. You do not have to be a doctor in a single one. You have to be a man or a woman, willing to ask a plain question in a room that would rather you did not. And that folder on the shelf behind me, Margaret's folder, has a page in it now, in my own hand, with exactly these 4 things on it, so my own children never have to learn them 3 nights deep, the way their father did. 1 afternoon to write. It may be the most valuable page in this house. I am going to pour the last of the coffee now and sit a while. That bill is behind me, but I think about those 3 nights more than I would care to admit. How sure I was, how quiet I stayed, how close a polite, trusting man came to handing over a roof for one of one word he saw on a clipboard and did not understand. I do not want that for you. So I am handing you the word early, while it can still do you some good. Now you have it. Before you go, do me one small favor. It helps more people than you would think. Down in the comments, tell me one thing. Have you, or somebody you love, ever been kept under observation in a hospital? And did you find out in time, or only after the bill came? The folks who have lived through this are the finest teachers the rest of us have got. I read every one I can. I cannot answer them all. There are more of you than there is of me these days. But I read them, and the ones that will help a neighbor see it coming, I pinned to the top. There is more of this. The quiet, practical things nobody ever sits you down and explains until it has already cost you something. The papers, the phone calls, the words to say in the rooms where we were all taught to stay quiet. That is what this porch is for, 1 afternoon at a time. If you would like a seat, You know where the subscribe button is. Until then, look after your money, look after your knees, and call your kids.